Ashish, afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. I was reading your annual report, the kind of wide variety of sectors you work with. Let's start by understanding your thoughts on what are the feedback you're getting from your client universe. How are they preparing for the capex cycle, which everybody's talking about, or you too are of the view that it is still some time away? How are things on ground?
Well, we see a lot of excitement right now. 2020 was an exceptional year. Nobody was insulated from the pandemic that hit every company, every business. But this year seems to be doing much better. And we definitely see the green shoots that you talked about earlier on, especially when we look at the sectors that we serve, the sectors which are in the process industry or in the infrastructure area. And we are beginning to see some of the stalled projects coming online, some of the new projects being talked about, new proposals are being made from our side. So overall, I think we are in a good place right now.
Ashish, more specifically, companies such as yours is a very uniquely positioned one because it helps a host of sectors achieve automation, intelligent technological transformation in their processes, and in the bargain also become much more efficient, improve on costs, etc. If you could share, some examples of not exact clients or companies, but sectors where this process is, actually happening at a much more hectic pace, and also how last 1.5 years been in the COVID period.
Well, if you ask about the last 1.5 years, it has been tough. But at Honeywell, we are prepared for the bad times as well as the good times. So we did manage our costs very well during the time when we had these challenges in the last 1.5 years. Coming back to the sectors that you would like to know where we see some of this excitement, we are a industrial software and an industrial company where we provide solutions to the process industries such as oil and gas, refining, petrochemicals, minerals, metals, mining, power sector, etc. And I see one particular common thread across all these industries, which is their interest and real intent to invest into digitization, the entire digital transformation. And that's one big area where we are nicely positioned. Because they are doing more and more digitization investments and connecting their assets, allowing their people to work remotely and therefore bringing in a lot of connectivity, the other area of excitement that we see is how to protect those digital assets and therefore making sure that those are secured from the threats of cyber crimes. And we, from the industrial perspective, see a lot of discussion beginning on industrial cybersecurity. That's a very natural sort of engagement that happens alongside the digitization discussion. So that is one sector common across all sectors that we serve. Apart from that, the interest in sustainability and renewables is a big one. And I see that really growing up at a much faster pace compared to what I had seen in the pre-pandemic era. When I'm talking about renewables, it is all encompassing. It is about, is hydrogen the new fuel of the future? And how do we therefore make sure that we have the right technologies, right infrastructure to pivot to that new fuel? It comes to the other area of the solar and wind power, which is really growing at a phenomenal pace in India. At the same time, when the sun is not shining at night, you need battery storage systems. And we provide those systems and the controls required to make sure that we store the energy in the batteries and therefore provide it when there is no production from the solar plants. So that's another big area of capital expenditure that we see both in the government sector as well as in the private sector. And if I have to point out some of the other ones where we see investments coming in, it's pharma, life sciences, healthcare. We are positioned to provide solutions there. And on the infrastructure side, it's more on the smart cities, the safe cities where all the state and the central government want to provide more and more safety and security to the citizens. So that's another big area for Capex. And lastly, I would want to point out it's still in the offing and it needs to take off a little bit, but we basically are very much excited about it, and that is in the area of airports and the seaports. So I think these are all the sectors that we serve, and I think we are very excited about the Capex cycle there.
Ashish, if you could, because you're a listed company as well, and you work, of course, you've given a very good view on how you see things take shape. But your stock has been a massive value creator over the last 5, 7, 10 years. And I was just looking at the data. As a decade plus, it's gone. Massive value creation has happened. How is business looking right now? If one were to look at the quantum of volume which you're doing of business, the value which you're doing next 3 to 5 years, not exact guidance, but if you could share some color, you see big growth propulsion in your business going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks. What we do typically is, as I said, we are prepared for the worst, but we are also seed planting for the future. So taking a look at just a quarter or a year or 2 years is not the best way to look for this 3 to 5 year horizon that you asked me about. What we are doing is we are seed planting in areas that we believe in. And these are all technology areas. I don't want to make any speculative statements or fuel any future-looking numbers, but I definitely want to tell you that we are very excited about some of the trends that are growth vectors for us. The trends around the renewables that I talked to you, the trends around battery energy storage system, multiple technologies are coming in, and we are making sure that we are in the front and center of it. We also are very much excited about the pharma and healthcare sector, not just for India, but the Indian industry catering to the rest of the world. And therefore, we expect a technology will play a big role in that sector as well. And while we do all of this and bring in so much of digitization, I think India Inc. needs to think very seriously about how do we protect the digital assets and the industrial cybersecurity part. There are so many examples around the world that we have seen where things can get crippled if we don't take proper care of these assets. And I think that is where we are investing. So I think the long and short of what I'm trying to say is in the next 3 to 5 years time, it's going to be different pivots, different areas than what we may have served in the past decade. And the key word there is we pivoting along with those growth vectors so that we are able to continue our profitable growth.
Outstanding. Thanks so much for giving us a sneak peek on the Capex cycle, Mr. Gaikwad. Great chatting with you, and look forward to be getting you on the channel often.